Hello, good afternoon. My name is Desiree Edwards, and I am a member of the White Mountain Apache Tribe, and I also work for the BIA Fort Apache Fire Management as a GIS specialist. And today I will be presenting on the wildfire risk analysis on the Fort Apache Indian Reservation. So my study area is the Fort Apache Indian Reservation, which is home to the White Mountain Apache Tribe. It is located in east central Arizona, and the region spans about 1.6 million acres and includes forests, grasslands, and shrublands. So the reservation, it experiences a diverse range of climatic conditions from semi-arid deserts at lower elevations to montane forests in higher elevations, like the one shown here. For my introduction, like wildfires are a persistent threat to ecosystems, communities, and infrastructure, particularly in fire-prone areas on the reservation. So, for the reservation, I wanted to focus on like also the fire season. So, with the background, the wildfire season usually begins from late spring, May, through the summer, July, August. It's driven by the rising temperatures, the decreased precipitation, and the strong winds and lightning storms. And so my purpose is to create a wildfire risk model to help identify areas where fires are most likely to occur and spread. And this will also help with prioritize treatment areas, especially near communities in the wildland urban interface. And so the data shown here is the wildland fires on the reservation and the fire cause points. So this data includes like multiple years of fire perimeters and point locations, identifies fire ignition causes. So in these communities, you're able to see it's more human cause, and then outside areas is natural cause, which most of the time is lightning. And so here are some of the pictures that Nico Edwards was able to provide. He is a wildland firefighter, and this shows like what our wildland firefighters are up against every year. And with the tribal communities, I was able to digitize the wildland urban interface. And what that means is that these are areas where homes and infrastructure meet wildland fire vegetation, making them highly vulnerable to wildfire impacts. So this left map shows with all the homes within those boundaries, and the left is the what I was able to digitize. And my data sources are the DEM I was able to get from the USGS. Like I said, with the wildland urban interface, I had digitized that, the structure centroids FEMA, the land covers from Landfire, the wildfire incident locations are from the National Interagency Fire Center, and the CSV I was able to get from the PRISM, which extracted the climate values. So my methodology here was methodology. I was able to use 4 data sets and included getting the CSV from PRISM and using the kriging to to get different climate variable rasters. And then from the DEM, I was able to get the slope and aspect. And for the land cover data, it was the FBM FM40 field model. And then I was able to reclass, and the WUI, I had digitized that. And for the wind overlay, it is I was able to use that for all the rasters and combining all of them and assigning different weights reflecting their relative importance. And I'll go more into detail in a bit. So understanding the fire behavior, which I included on my project, are the field weather and topography, which is known as the fire behavior triangle in according to the National Wildfire Coordinating Group. And so this next one, I'll focus on the vegetation and land cover data. So the reason why I used the land fire behavior field model 40, which was developed by Scott and Bergen, it simplified the vegetation into 29 standardized field models, which is based on the field type, the field load, the canopy characteristics, and fire behavior. And each model is assigned a risk rating based on the fire spread rate and measuring in the chains per hour. So this is the land cover of the reservation using those fire behavior field models. And for the reclassification methods, I had developed this spreadsheet, and this is all of what you're seeing up here. And I was able to classify them and then get the definitions and then determining the rate of spread and determining that if it's low or high based off of what the Scott and Bergen had in their report. And so then determining the flame length. So 4 to 8 feet is where the fire intensity gets too hard for these firefighters to fight. And so I was able to categorize them based off like what they had, the low, moderate, and very high potential, and reclass the land cover for the Fort Apache Indian Reservation. So you can see is like moderate to high and to very high risk in these areas. And so along with the vegetation, I wanted to analyze wildfire risks from a climate perspective. So that was using the PRISM climate data and being able to use the kriging to generate the continuous spatial services from the point-based climate data. And so it was applied to each annual weather variable, and it was processed to preserve the spatial characteristics of each data set, which results in the 4 continuous raster surfaces that reflect the localized patterns of each climate variable. And as you are able to see the dry areas and the long-term heat trends for the mean temperatures and for the precipitation, where the key factor is, which is a key factor in the field moisture content. And then the next one was slope, because it captures how terrain steepness contributes to fire behavior. And so on the left, it displays the original slope raster derived from the DEM. And then the right map shows the slope reclassified using focal statistics tool and using the 3x3 neighborhood to smooth the data and identify areas where the mean slope was greater than 30%. And then those zones were then flagged as high risk. And for the aspect, it's the location that refers to the compass direction, and then the south and southwest facing slopes usually receive more sunlight. So I reclassed them to the 0 being no risk and 1 being high risk. And here are the 2 categories on where I was able to reclassify them. And for the weighted overlay, the variables I gave the weight of the reclass land cover 30%. This layer had the highest weight because the field type directly determines the field intensity and spread. And the max temperature 20% because high temperatures tend to drive out fields and accelerate ignitions. So it was weight at 20%, the vapor pressure deficit 15, precipitation 10, slope greater than 30, 10%, aspect 10, mean temperature 5, totaling 100%. And so it creates like a balance and evidence-based model for the wildfire risk. And so the results is that it shows that the relative fire hazard across the entire reservation, as you can see, are in the high and to extreme risk. But also with that, I wanted to focus in on the tribal communities that I had shown in the beginning. So with the fire risk here for CBQ, Carrizo, and Cedar Creek, you're able to see that the risk is very high for these locations. Also, with the greater populations of the White River community, 7 Mile, East Fork, Turkey Creek, and Cane Day, as you can see, it all you're able to see the high to extreme risks in all these communities throughout the reservation. And the higher elevation, I know with Holly Lake and Sunrise, those aren't necessarily tribal communities, but they are of economic value for the tribe since Sunrise is a ski resort. Holly Lake offers um, recreational activities during the summer. So I just wanted to focus in on that. And also for Honda McNary, near that community is the Pine Top Lakeside, which is on the other side. And it's just showing the risk for that and that if so the wildfire risk model shows that it can spread into these communities. And I just wanted to be able to show that in my presentation just because I feel that it was important for tribal members to know the risks involved when it comes to wildfires. And that was what I wanted to prioritize in this project. And so for the conclusion, the spatial distribution of these risk class shows that the significant portion of the reservation is vulnerable. And so I would also like to bring up how the wildland fire personnel from the BIA fire management and the tribal forestry, they work together to conduct um, prescribed burns every fall to reduce the risk of the catastrophic wildfires on the reservation. And these are just some pictures and like some videos that I was able to get from Nico Edwards again, who was able to provide this as well. And I just feel like with prescribed burning, we're able to reduce the fuel on the ground and be able to have like a healthier forest. Thank you.